is Beth Guide. I'm with Vertical Web. And I want to be talking about some of the things that Google doesn't want you to know about. So if you know them, then it will help you to do a better job on your website. About a year ago, Google released some documents. Well, Google didn't, a whistleblower did, that outlined a lot of Google's strategy, what the, I'm going to say 57 ingredients in Kentucky Fried Chicken are. I don't really mean that. What I mean is, what is the basically what are the things that go into their website and how it's rated. The other thing is, and I think I'm going to start there, is that I Google actually has a grading tool for your content, and they're telling you what they're looking for. And I think it's a extremely interesting exercise for everybody to understand on a piece of content. So let me start with that. First of all, Google wants the internet to be a better place. They are not in business to rank your website. They are in business to provide their end user with the best possible set of information that they can get on any given topic. So if you have been in this class for a bit of any period of time now for the last year, you've heard me say repetitively, do not use AI models to create content for your website. And the reason why is because AI, the way it works is it takes an aggregate of information and makes a page out of it. So they may take some information from me, they may take some information from you, they may take some information from my competitor, they put it all together, shake it up, and give you an answer. And when they do that, there is nothing original in that information because they took something from you, they took something from me, they took something from somebody else, and none of it is original. It's just a reconstitution and regurgitation of somebody else's something. So if we understand that that is a limitation, the first thing that we should understand is that we need to be experts and we need to be adding our expert opinions into the embetterment of the internet. Now, I'm in the process of building a guide for how to pick a web design company because enough of you have asked me this question. And I think formulaically, I have finally figured out how you can answer this and how you can take pieces of this and go how to do it. And when you do, I utilize this to back into some of the things that we did. Um, what I will say is somebody just asked me if you can use AI to edit the content. I'm going to say yes, but what you can't do is utilize because it completely changes it. So I want to kind of go through all of this because in some cases, Google has given us the actual answer of what you need to do. Let me save my page that I was working on. And I have a really good example. And a lot of what I was going to cover is going to be in this document, as weird as that's going to sound. So let me go ahead and open my screen and get this window shared so we can kind of start down this a little bit because it's been a lot. Let me share I want to share just the browser. Okay, so you guys should have my browser window now for the moment. And actually, you know what? I'm going to share the whole thing because I need to do Word docs too. I've got 2 Word docs that I'm working from. Okay, so that's everything. Okay, let me close the Zoom window. Okay. All right, so we're going to kind of go to a few places here. The first place I am going to open is this verdicts.ai. So let's kind of talk about what this is a minute. Vertex is Google's language engine. Okay. And what it is it is a back end into their viewpoints on some things. And it's what I realized is that if I take their language models and I use their language, I will very quickly be able to, and I have, let me close this here. I have some Word docs open. The other tool I'm going to be using tonight is Claude AI. And what's interesting about Claude is that it'll parse full documents for you. So you can take a document and you can then have it parse it and manipulate it and do what you want with it. And because I can do that, it makes it more affable to do it through Claude than it does through ChatGPT. So I want to kind of go through the steps on what I did. And the reason why I want to do that is because if you understand this, you'll understand the majority of what Google's looking for. Okay, because it actually gives you some answers. So let's back into this first. So the first thing I did is, well, I actually did two things, but we're going to start here. I told it to evaluate, and I gave it a website address. And what it did is it went down it and it actually gave me wrong information on it. So, but what it told me is some of the things that I'm missing. So these are the things in order of importance according to Google. And I thought that when I tell it to evaluate a page and it gives me this level of information back, it's telling me what I need to rank a page. And I'm going to blow my page up because if Sandra was here, she'd be telling me you can't see the page. All right, so let me change the URL here. So you notice my prompt is evaluate this text. All right, so I told it evaluate this text and I gave it this web address as my URL. I'm going to actually change it to trips to Italy. And I am going to tell it to go. Wherever I tell it to go, I tell it to go. Is it not going? Oh, there's the little go button. All right, so you'll see it's doing a whole bunch of thinking and spitting out and all kinds of stuff here. All right. And it gives me a breakdown of what this is. I'm going to go into the text aspect of a different page here in a minute. Okay. And I'm going to go through the steps that I took on it. But what it does by taking it and putting in this Vertex AI and telling it to analyze my page, it's going through and telling me the changes I need to make and what it's looking for. It's giving me a set of core keywords. What that tells me, which I already know, is that Google still use keywords. So you'll see people out there saying there's no such thing as keywords anymore. Keywords don't matter. I actually think to rank on Google, the most important thing that you can do is technical SEO, which is some of what this is. I can teach you how to go find keywords, and we have done keyword classes in this setting. But what it's doing is telling me what I need to do. It's telling me I need to focus on Italy tours, Italy travel packages, Italy vacations, luxury tours, custom tours, and it's using the word tours. So it is basically telling me what are the most important things that I need to see. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that. I just want to make sure we don't have any questions here. Okay, no, we don't. Okay, so this question says, do we need to add the Vertex? Is it an add-in to the Google Cloud or just Vertex AI? It is an actual add-in into your Google Cloud, that's what's up here. And if you use it too much, there is a fee. Don't ask me what the fee is. I don't know. I haven't hit a pay point yet on it, but it does have it. So but what I want you to do is I want you to be able to go and I want you to put your own web address in there and see what it gives you back. If it doesn't give you back something like you should have Italian tours, Italian packages, if you sell, somebody just said they're a business coach. If it doesn't have business coaching type terms in it, then you know you haven't done the right thing. And the other thing it's telling me is I need specific region tours, I need city tours, and I need theme tours, food, wine, history, honeymoons, family, blah, 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 blah. So that it's telling me what should be contained on that page. What I will say is that if I take things like, let me do it this way. I have my keywords everywhere tool. We talked about that from time to time. If you don't know what it is, it's keywords everywhere. It's a plugin into Chrome. If I do Italy, ITALY vacations, it's saying that there's no searches for that a month. Let's see, Italy vacations. Why is it? Oh, because I spelled vacations wrong. Vacations. No wonder why it says there's no. So it's telling me that there's 9,000 searches a month for it. So Google suggested to me a search term with 1,000 or 9,000 searches. So that's a great term. That's a great term that I should be able to use. Um, it also gives me your travel package for Europe, which is not as tight as what we should have. It tells me that Rome tour packages is 6,600. Trips to Italy, a cost of it is also 2,900. This gives me a whole second set of subwords over here off to the side that I now have. But look at tours of Italy travel package 27. Italy travel packages 27,000. So if I come back and I look, here's Italy travel packages right on Google's own list. So basically, if I proof source the list that Google spits out at me, I get their own recommendations back to me at 27,000. Italy vacations is 9,000. Let's see what else we've got. The word tours. Do I like the word tours? I don't know that I like the word tours. But I'm not going to argue with them because they've given me the words I need to work with. And as we've talked through this and what needs to happen and what words you need on a page, it's basically told me what I need to do to rank and what terms I need to be focused on this page and on this website. So I think that's really interesting information that now I know what they are looking for. And I'm not having to guess like you used to have to guess what they wanted. I don't have to guess anymore. So I think that's a big thing for all of you guys. The next thing they give me is a long tail keyword search. And what I will say is that most of you should live and die in the long tail keyword search. Because if you look at it says affordable Italy tours from New York, romantic Italy tours for couples, small group tours from the of Tuscany wineries. What it's giving me is what the longer tail search is and what they should be looking for. Okay. Again, keep in mind what I'm emphasizing is that Google is giving us the actual words that we should be doing. Now, I don't know that a lot of people know that this is out there and that this is sitting out there like this. They may now because they'll see this video and hear me say it, so we'll have that go on. But if you utilize this for your website, you're going to be able to do it. If your website's not in a good place, I don't know what happens when the website's not in a good place. Let's see. If you guys can use the chat for me and not the any other thing, I'd appreciate that just because I have the chat window open so you can kind of see it over here versus a raise hand and all that other stuff. Just put it over here in chat for me. Okay, so any questions that you have. All right. So that's the first set of things that It's asking me to pay. It may ask you to pay because if it's on a cloud back end and you have to put a credit card on file, I don't know what the cost is. Usually these things are pennies on the dollar. They're not very expensive. But again, it's a investment into your website, so I would think just go ahead and try it. And we'll get what we need. It says I came in late and I'm trying to figure out the search you used to get that information. All I used was evaluate this text, and I put the user, I put it here. So I created a prompt. If we go back to the first screen, I created a prompt and told it evaluate this text. All right. It says, please use the chat to ask questions. Yeah, thanks, Sabia. I appreciate that. It just makes my life easier. Okay. So now, when I tell you guys, and we've talked about this, Google, Google is the greatest head fake situation that I can ever think of. And what I mean by that is, if Google says they are not counting something and they emphatically say they're not doing something, I would bet my last dollar that that is the most important thing that they are doing. We've had a long history with them of them saying things that are almost the polar opposite of anything that we ever think they're doing. So with that said, we've had a long discussion about keywords through the years. They have said they're not using keywords through the years. As it turns out, they're knocking keywords right at me. But what else I will say is that there is a relation with keywords. If I started talking about, I have a website that does Italy tours, and I started talking about vacations to Zimbabwe, Google would be like, we don't understand what this page is, and throw it out. Or if I was talking about, let's take some out of headlines, spaceship tours to the moon or space shots with people that can rent rockets. If I started talking about that, it would be a big problem. Next question says, will they have access to this recording? Yes. What we do is every class that we teach, I take and I put on our website under the class tab. Let me see if I can pull that up right now. I'm actually in the process of building one. Let me see if I can get back to where I need to be. Let me show you where it is. The other thing that we have is a class sign up there, so that if you want future classes, you can do that. But if you see, I have a nice class tab right here for you. If you click on it, it goes here. It gives us previous classes. It gives us the podcast, and it gives you the YouTube channel. That if you go to YouTube, it has all the videos from this class, and any other videos that I've done. You see some of them are me out on my back patio. This is the one that's on how to find a webmaster. I've got multiple ones kind of going on here. So they're all here. Last one we had talking about AI. So as soon as Score gets me the video, we put a title screen on it and we get it uploaded and get it posted for you guys. So yes, it's always here. It's always on the website. And yes, you always have access, not only now, but in the future, because I have these go back all the way into 2020 when the pandemic came. So I think there's, several hundred videos, or at least 100+ videos on this channel at this point, because we've put them all up through the years. Okay, so let's come back to verdicts. Okay, so we've talked about keywords. We've talked about no keywords. I'm going to say keywords are important. We have had whole classes on how to pick keywords, and maybe I need to do a class again. In fact, I think I said that. I think we will look at doing a class in the next quarter. I will do a class on keywords, identifying them, deciding what we need to do, and finding out how to pick them so that we understand what we're doing and then understand what we're doing with them. Okay, because I think now that we know that this is part of the circumstances, we can go ahead and put that out. Okay, got long-term keyword. The other thing it says is competitor analysis of our top keywords using this. Now, what I would do to come up with a competitor analysis is I would come over into Claude and say, tell me, review the top websites on Italy travel. All right. And it's gonna, you see what I do? And so what it's doing is it's gonna go out, it's gonna search the web, and then it's gonna give me an SEO summary on each one. Just go to Vertical Web. That's all you have to do. Verticalweb.com. And then if you go to YouTube and search Vertical Web, we're right there. You can take a pick in either way. So it tells me about the pages. It tells me what the top travel sites are. It tells me what the keywords strategy should be, which is vacation packages and such. It gives me a lot of information about my competitors. What are the top 3 Italy travel sites and what keywords do they use? Let's see. See what it comes back with. Okay, and because they're dedicated, see, this is where I know to refine search. I don't know if you guys would know to refine search. Where I said is giving me the top 3 sites on Italy travel. I'm going to change it. That says give me top 3 websites for exclusive. I'm going to change my search up. And what it's going to do is it's going to give me what the top sites are that are exclusive to Italy travel, because we don't want just any website. We want all websites, and we want to understand what they are. So it's given me some of the top websites here. It's given me the links that I can click on. The one thing that jumps out at me is luxury tours. All 3 of them that I'm asking for are luxury tour sites. So I need to now go bake this back into my thought process. Okay. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because sometimes I look at things and I don't know that you guys would look at things with the same, I don't know what's the right word, analytical mind, in the sense that I've been doing it for so long. I see that and I'm like, haha, we should be using the word luxury tour, because that means something to people, and people that are looking for that are more that customer's customer. The next thing it tells me is that I want a clear and logical hierarchy. Okay. Again, it's making the case for what I would say is technical SEO. And every one of you should have this hierarchy. So any site that I do has a hierarchy to it. And what I mean when I say that is it has a structure. And it's not just, I was just looking at this site, it has a structure. So let's just look at this one for a minute. Okay. So they're a dentist. You would think all they offer is dental. That's it. But the reality is they're a general dentist. They have a laser. They do cosmetic, and they do dental health. Okay. So every one of you should sit down and make a structure or an outline of your website. So the other day we were talking about this. I should have kept the thing. I don't think I kept it. I didn't. So we'll just do it again for those of you who have never seen me do this. So I'm going to pick my topic. My website, my fake website, is going to be on the history of wars in the 20th century. So if I was doing wars in the 20th century, I would do one would be World War I, two would be World War II, three would be Korea, 4 would be Vietnam. 5 would be Desert Storm. And then underneath that, I have a decision to make. What do I want to cover under this? What I want to cover under this is maybe I would want to cover under this. Well, who's on what side? So I have the allies, ALLIES. B would be the axis. And then underneath that, I might have US, Germany, or not Germany, England, France. And then if I come down here, I might have Germany, Austria, Poland. Let's say Poland. Good old Poland. Okay, so that may be what the way I decide to make that hierarchy. I then under World War II, because we had 2 theaters, I may have the European European theater. And then I may have the Japanese theater or Asian theater, ASIAN theater. Or I guess it's Pacific technically, huh? And then under this, I may have access. Yes. Does everybody kind of get what I'm doing? I'm hoping. And if you do, this is what you need to do with your website. It is not good enough to just say services. So if we come back, if you look at this website, they have general dentistry, and then these are all the things that they do under general dentistry. And this is lasers. This is all that they do under laser dentistry. The reason this comes up is because Google's own engine is saying, make sure that we have a hierarchy. Okay. Now, all right, let's see. Are you talking about the main subject and headlines? I kind of am, but I'm not there yet because we haven't been able to bring it back to the web yet. We have to have this before we get them down into categories and subcategories, because where they need to go is in the navigation. So if we even come back to vertical web, you'll see that I have 3 topics across the top. And you see that underneath each one has so I have my internet marketing services, SEO, local SEO, social media, I have web design, I also have web development, I have a portfolio, and then web hosting, I have WordPress web hosting and domain registration. So I have subcategories under each one. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Okay. This is the layout for vertical web. I don't know if you can see that or not. If nothing else, you should get out of this that this is a massive chart of all the things that I need to have under each area on my website. Each and every one of you should have something similar, regardless of whether you, I know it's not clear. I don't know
Beth,
if I,
do you want to like stop sharing your screen for a minute and just show it again so that people
no,
can see?
because there's too many people. Let me do it this way.
Right, okay.
There's too many people. Let me see if I can do it this way. I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter per se what it says. But here, let me see if I can do it this way. Hang on, it's coming. All right, so it should be. All right, you see that? Everybody see that now?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, so you see what I did? Every one of you should have a similar situation to this. Look at how many different things I have. I have the locations I service. I have the industries I service. This is what will be across the top of that website when I'm done with it that replaces this. Okay, so those will be replaced with these headlines in this order. All right. So when I tell you to go make a hierarchy of your website, this is what I'm talking about. All right. Everybody should have one of these. Period. End of story. And the reason why is, and literally, you see it's on the corner of my desk. All right. How quickly I was able to put my hands on it. Because as I'm working on my website, I always have my pieces, and I'm trying to put it back on my desk over here so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of it all. But I always have the pieces of what I hope to accomplish. The other thing you might have noticed is it's written in pencil. And the reason I've written it in pencil is because it's changeable. So I can erase it. And you may say, well, why didn't you do it on the computer? Well, personally, I felt it better to do it on a large sheet of paper so I could see it than I ever do feeling like I'm doing it like this. I think it's much more motivating to see it on a piece of paper than it is to see that. Because in essence, what I just showed you is this. Okay. So everybody should have a piece of paper like that about their business. Okay. And you can see I have some of the elements here. I'm far from what needs to be on this website. Um, and it's going to be a long time before I have that entire hierarchy built out with everything that we do in the way that I think it should be done. Okay. Does everybody get what I'm saying on that and why I'm saying that? Okay. So as we look at this, they want a focus on broad terms like Italy tours. Okay. The trips to Italy site and the way it's sitting right now is completely wrong. I've got to go in and fix it. I did not make it wrong. I have to go repair damage done by another provider. Okay, so just so we understand that I did not cause the mess that's on this website, but I do get the pleasure of fixing it. Although I actually like fixing it because it becomes like a competition of how much can I improve it. So in my own head, I'm like, okay, how much of an impact? It's almost like a challenge to fix it to me. So I really like websites that are broken because especially ones that did well and then got broken. I love those scenarios. That's some of my favorite scenarios to deal with. All right, so you notice that we have a home page. It wants category pages, okay? So that list I just showed you, let's bring it back up and utilize it, I guess is probably the best way to do this. There literally needs to be a page. These are what they're calling category pages. See them here? They're all category pages. And then these become some sets of those category pages. Okay. So you're going to, everything that's here needs a category page. And just like when something is a category, it has the children underneath it. When I write that digital marketing page, it's going to have these services underneath it. When I write that brand management page, it's going to have these services underneath it. If you look at the existing website, you will see if I go to this internet marketing services page, you'll see that it has all the children pages underneath it. See, I've got one for technical, link building. So I actually have some of this. I actually have to go through and fix some of it because it's a little bit outdated in how it was done from an SEO standpoint. So I now need to fix this and then I need to add to it the items on this list that are not there. So you'll notice this list and this list are somewhat different. I need to actually change that now and fix some of that up. Okay. So when you make a category page, you want your outlook of your category. When I say these are secrets for Google, these are the things that most people don't do. So, I went to a chamber event yesterday and some lady walked up to me and she says, I want you to know that I took your bid and I went into another, and I ended up going to another company, and the lady seems like she knows what she's doing. Ultimately, I think they ended up being a little bit less expensive, and that some of the people she asked knew this lady. But when I went and I looked at some of the sites that she had done, let me see if I can find this. I don't think this is it. But let's use this because it's not really right. It's another one that's setting the stage for lasting memories. You think she's a wedding planner or you think she's a mortician? Okay, so this is not right, but if you look up here, it's not right. And designs, here it is. All right, let's go to the portfolio on this. I don't mean to call this person out. I don't really know, but every website I went to had the same um attributes. There was very few things up here on the navigation bar. It was like a lot of one-page websites. Um, they were ways to not make things work. Okay. You'll notice a lot of them: home, learn more, contact us. Um, so they look okay, but the SEO elements are missing. And every one of the websites that I touched on this portfolio were kind of like that. They kind of were missing some of those attribute. King with women's clothes. What's this one look like? All right, so this one's a little bit more built out. But if you started to go through them, I found a lot of them were lacking the SEO elements. In the conversation with the lady that I have, that was telling me this, she was like, she was saying this, but then said the lady said, well, if I needed more, she was going to have to go to an SEO expert. But the problem is that if the website's built wrong on the front side, the SEO expert's going to have to throw it in the garbage can because this has to be there. So it says what you're saying is the what we are, who we are, Taft should lift everything we offer on the pages. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Sort of exactly what I'm saying. Like this person has a services tab. All right. Okay, they actually do what they say, but there's no other way, there's nothing else underneath it. So Google's not ranking this page. I don't know who this person is. I never met this person in my life, so just they could be in Timbuktu for all I know. Let's see. Watch, they're right down the street or they're in this room. No, they're in Georgia, so we're safe. We don't have to worry about seeing her at a networking event. Um, anyway. So, but you see her services say, she says bride and groom, but she says event planning. I don't even think I see wedding planning on this thing. Baby and bridal showers. So as much as she's got bridal themes, there's nothing on here. This is an example of a website that Google has no idea. I bet anything in my life that this website doesn't rank on anything. In fact, I'm going to bookmark this website because this may be my new look at this person website. This says designed by Jenny. Um, this doesn't say services Jenny offers. This just says webs designed by Jenny. What's designed by Jenny? Dresses, bagels, houses. Um, there's no rhyme or reason to what Jenny designs. For all we know, she designs, coffins. We don't know what she designs. And I'm kind of saying things like this and kind of saying it broadly like that so that you guys get the absurdity of not saying what you design. Okay. These should be event planning services, your wedding, event coordination, flowers and decorating. Now, is that the services, does that actually belong under a services tab? I don't know if floral and design goes with event planning. I might have to think about that and think through that a little bit. Holiday decorating. Okay, great. Holiday decorating. We do holiday decorating and themed parties. That's awesome. But how do these things tie together? And how do we expect Google to understand this? And that's where this begins. That's again where this is a problem. Okay, John, you said again, review Google Elements. Yeah, I mean, basically what it's saying is to look at your structure and your navigation. Without that structure, without that navigation, without those keywords, Google has no idea what you're saying. And when I say this to somebody, they're going to say to me, "How do you have proof?" Well, here's the proof. It's coming out of Google's own search thing. Its own AI system is outputting what I need to do to fix my website. The other thing it has is internal linking, and you may hear me talk about silos. I don't want to turn this into a technical SEO class. I think we're going to do technical SEO next time, and I'll do it top to bottom in this class. I haven't really done one here. I just did one this month for the Houston West Chamber, but I think it lends itself to do a technical SEO here in this venue. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. The other thing is, yes, it says, can I show you an example of a website that's developed the way it should be? Well, this dentist site here that I had up, which is the Meyerland site, is one. And actually, I'm going to use this one because this one all of a sudden is a rock star in chat, although we need to take off that he's closed. He's open in 20 seconds. So yeah, we need to get that off of there. But okay, so you notice we have tax services, forensic audit, litigation support. Then underneath they have tax consultants, tax preparation, tax planning, compliance, tax bankruptcy, tax whatever, tax audits and tax problems. I have this broken down over and over and over again. So this guy called me the other day and he's an awesome guy. I really like the heck out of him. He called me and he said, I have something strange happening. And I said, what's the something strange? He said, people keep telling me they found me on Chat GPT or they found me on an AI engine. And the reason why is let me see if this gives it to me. It does. Okay, you see it says what to do if your bookkeeper dies. Well, lo and behold, I have a Reddit, I have a audit, I have a tax advisor, I have the IRS, and then I have Steve. Because Steve's page and Steve's website was laid out in this manner that I'm prescribing, and the AI engine went and actually found the page, he's getting leads off the Chat GPT people. So, or Perplexity or wherever they're coming from. So when you go in and these AI engines, if you structure this the way I'm saying to structure it, the way Google's saying to structure it, what ends up happening is you become the source material for the AI. And what's happening then is people's calling. So he's getting phone calls off of AI engines more than he's getting calls off of Google at this point, which is fine. I don't care where they're coming from. People are finding him, and that's really that's like the name of the game, right? So this becomes a good thing to have this all happening. So you can kind of look at all of this, see what's going on, see what's happening with it all, and you can understand the outflow of all of this. All right. So they also talk about internal links, and that's pages interlinking with each other. So if you come here, you'll see the local SEO goes to a local SEO link. What that does is it sends a signal to Google that this page is about local SEO. If this page was about buying shoes and it went to a page on local SEO, Google wouldn't know what to do with it and they wouldn't rank it. But when they know what your internal text means and what it links to, all of a sudden you see I have the search engine optimization goes to the search engine page. The local versus national SEO goes to a page that talks about that. I've got an internet marketing page, and then I have all these other situations that people do that either things can link to or not link to. So those internal linking structure will do it. The other thing I'm going to show you, which is very important, and why I say I think I'm going to run a class on this, is web pages need to be siloed together. So some of this will be a little bit of a repeat. But if you notice all the webs, if you notice, oh, I don't understand why my website is pink on the bottom for some reason. It's very strange. Um, but if you notice down here, I have the website pages that are connected. They're all connected together, and Google understands what I did. I'll explain that next time we do that. I don't want to get too down in the weeds because there's some really cool stuff that went on here. Um, it then starts to talk about what your title tag should be. The person had asked about title tags and H1 tags. That's this section here. It's telling me what I should do. It's telling me how I should write the content. It's telling me how I should have the um, keywords throughout my articles. And it's even going as far as to telling me that I need Roman Colosseum descriptive file names and not just put the, image 123 up there. So it's giving me a lot of the pieces that I need to have for it to put together a well-ranked page. It's telling me about the URL structure, its mobile friendliness, its page speed. We'll go into every one of these on a detailed basis. We'll talk about location pages also because that plays into how your Google My Business ranks. And then it even goes through and starts talking about whether you should have link building. I'm really surprised that they put this in here because they for years have said links don't count. You don't need link building. And everybody in the SEO world knows if you need anything, you need link building, that it's probably one of the most important things. Um, a few things that I will say is this as I get to link building. Inside those documents, for those of you that have been around for a while, I don't mean around the class, I mean around Google, around the earth. There used to be a thing on the old Google toolbar that was called PageRank. And for years, the PageRank is what dictated how well your site ranked. So as your site moved up in PageRank, what ended up happening was you would end up moving up in rankings. And the PageRank was derived off of how many backlinks you have. And about I feel like it's been 10 years now. They went and took PageRank off their toolbar and they said PageRank doesn't count. Well, when the pages came out, when the leaked documents came out, sure as heck, the equivalent of a PageRank system was built in. So they're looking for quality links back to your website. I will get into that in a technical SEO class. And I'm kind of, as I'm doing this, some of this kind of really needs to be developed a little bit into its own class. So I understand I'm going fast through this, mostly because I want to make sure that you guys understand high levels of this, and then we'll get into the weeds on each one of these individually next time when we do a technical SEO class. Um, Another thing that was in those documents before I move down to the next thing is Google's evaluating your pages with how much somebody interacts with those pages and where somebody comes from. So if Google doesn't say that people are, or doesn't qualify and say that people are staying on your page, um, we have a problem because they want Google is looking at user engagement at this point. So if I go to your page and I only stay for a second and I bounce back to Google, they're saying that you're bouncing, they're also saying that the page had no engagement. So one of the things that I've done to make engagement, those of you that have asked if there's a class, like, if the classes are on the internet, this is partly why I did this. Uh, so if you come down, let me see, where's the best way to get to this? I haven't updated this in a while, but it'll make my point. So what I did is every blog post that I put up, they have the same attributes about them, which is video, podcast, and article. And subsequently, in later years, now this one is from 2023. If I go to the most up to date ones now, I actually changed it to accommodate this. So this was our last digital marketing clinic, I believe, which was AI and digital marketing. If you come here, the very first thing I did before I did anything is put the video, because once the second that somebody hits that video and starts playing it, immediately they're on this page long enough for it to register for engagement. I put the podcast here. So either you can sign up for the podcast and add it, or you can sit here and listen to it on the page. But in either event, the podcast is there. If somebody goes to this page, listens to the podcast on this page, it's sending an engagement signal. Okay. The other thing that by doing this the way I did, apparently I've now picked up a link from Apple Podcast Server on all of this. So that's a good thing that's happened too, because I'm sending a signal of authority that Google that Apple thought enough of me to actually give it a link in their podcasting system. So I have that going on as well. So we must have enough subscribers to have tripped that over. And then I have my article. My article has a whole lot of these attributes that we're talking about, things that are related to each other. You see, I have my related posts over here. I've got all the blogs all the way back to 2012 when I started doing blogs for this website. I have blogs all the way back as far as 2012. So I've got 12 plus years worth of blogs on this website at this point. So I've got a crazy number of posts. I've got crazy number of topics. I've got crazy numbers of podcasts. I got stuff all over this website. But what I'm doing is I'm showing Google is I have engagement. I have traffic coming from places that are not named Google. So Google, you better rank this website higher because the other rest of the world is sending people to it and you're the only one not. So intrinsically, every time I add a podcast, my rankings go up just because it works the way it is. So it's user engagement is what this is all about. All right. And the thing is that I'm holding people on pages with this stuff. So Google's looking at how long did it take for them to go back to Google, and then how long is somebody staying on a page. Those are two different things, because if I do a Google search, I come over here, I'm on this page, and I decide I'm going to leave this page, I'm going to open another tab, and I'm going to go do a different search on a different thing. Well, the second I do that, that means I may not have bounced back to Google, but I didn't stay on the page for as long as I should either. So those things kind of go hand in hand, neck and neck on that. So make sure that you have some way to engage your user, put something on there. One of the things that I'm doing as well is, and this is just a little bit of a something here, but I actually put together a checklist of what you should ask a web design company before you before you hire them. And I put it together, and I actually had Google build the list for me. So we have a downloadable copy of this that's going to be put up. But if you can do something like this, Google will give I think what's going to happen is people are going to come and download that document. And if you look, I know you don't know that, but I put it in a printable format. So I've now put it in a way that it's just going to print out with no design around it, no anything around it. So it'll be super fast. My experience with this is Google will rank this page, and they will take this page, and this will be a page that'll appear in their search engine. I've done that before. I did it on web hosting many years ago. We're going back probably 25 years. And I had a checklist for what you should ask your web hosting company. When I tell you that that was one of the most trafficked pages on the website, the only thing I need to do is I need to put a little bit of branding on this thing that says, if you'd like a quote, please call us, and put our phone number. That's really the only thing that's missing off of this. So I need to do it. I actually had to write this truth be told, I didn't. I had ChatGPT, but I actually had to write this in HTML for it to spit out this way. Because I could code it by hand, but it would have taken me forever to do it, to open and close everything. So I told ChatGPT to write it for me, and it wrote it for me. But this checklist, if you take this checklist, I think this is going to be one of the most trafficked and most visited pages on the website. And I just need to put our phone number and our name at the top of it as it so people know where they got it from. Um, so these are the type of things that Google's kind of looking for on stuff like this. So understand the strategy, understand what we're doing, understand why we're doing it. Um, the other thing it's given is your social media, your online reputation, reviews. Uh, it's saying that we should have TripAdvisor reviews, Google reviews, Yelp reviews. John, I could do that. You're exactly right. I guess we could do that, can't we? Oh, let's see. Where is it? Where did it open to? Here it is. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right here, right now. It's really not out, but you can use it. You can use that if you want. That's fine with me. That gives you a list of what you should do. I think the other thing that I want to do though is I need to create this, and then I need to do it with tool tips that it can say, this is why I'm asking this. This is why you should ask this. This is why you should ask to this. I think that's my next step with this thing. I think I'm going to have another whole page that'll support this and say why you need to know this. Um, and then I have a companion video that talks about, and I guess I should put the link on that too. Okay, so with all of that said, all right, so I have it giving me all of this about this, but what started all of this, and you can come down, there's a lot, it's saying to put your tracking on it. It's saying that we should have our citations, it's your local SEO, it's giving you a list. Google just handed this to me. I didn't ask it for it to do this. What started all of this, though, I'm going to tell it to exit without saving it. Okay. I wrote a different prompt. My different prompt was this one. Now, I want to show you something, and I don't know that I have the original copy of it. So there's a cautionary tale in this just as much as there is everything else. So I started on the article to write about hiring a web design company because you guys have asked me. I went to taught a session for Houston West Chamber. They asked me. It seems like this is the popular question now of how do I hire a web designer? And then I go to this chamber luncheon and this lady tells me, well, I don't really know how to tell if this lady knew what she was doing. So she just hired the person with the cheaper price. And I think the cheaper price was $200 difference, and it's probably going to end up costing her $2,000 to $3,000 more in the end run if she ever really chooses to fix this. But with that said, so I started my little article here, and I wish I had. I don't think I have the original copy. Hold on, let me see if I have the original copy of this. No, that's not it. See, and that's not it. I don't have the original copy of this, but that's okay because what I did with Google is I wrote my page, went down it, and I wrote the entire page. And after I wrote it, I took it and I put it, you can see it, it doesn't have a clear thing on the top of it. But what I did was I put I put the entire article in this thing here, and it said write a prompt, and I may have wrote it at the very bottom. You see how long this is? It's 5,000 words. Let me see. All right, so I took the original Word doc, I pasted in here, and I told it to evaluate this page. And what it did is I come down to the bottom, and I'm trying to find the first one that I did exit without. Let's see if this one is. I think this is the second one I did. Okay. One goes to one page and one goes to the other. So the very first thing I did was I took it and I put it in here and I asked it to do an evaluation. Here we go. So I told it to help me implement the adjusted changes. So this was the original document I had. All right. And I put it into Claude and I told it to take it. And then I pasted in the suggestions that Google gave me. Okay. All right. So the very first one it told me was reorganization improves the flow. It did not like the order of this page. Okay. At all. So because I wrote it how I wrote it a little bit out of order, if you will. So when I put it in here, when I put it in Google initially, it came back and it told me, and I want to kind of go through all of this because it helps me, right? It says reorganize the flow. It says restructure this article around the checklist you wrote. Consolidate the SEO content. It said right now the SEO information is scattered throughout. Combine the information into a section. How to evaluate it? What are the SEO questions? How to tell if your web designer knows what he's doing? Common SEO mistakes, relevant SEO questions, and it says move them here. Okay, because if I look at the original document, I think the FAQ on this document is all the way at the bottom. All right, so see, frequently asked questions. It was all the way at the bottom of the page. According to this document here, they're asking me actually to bring it up on the page. It's Vertex. I'm sorry, it's Vertex that we're using. It's not Gemini. I use Vertex to process this. All right. The next thing it told me, so it gave me the structure of what it should be. It told me to make sure I had to explain what title tags, navigation, heading, URL structure, internal link structure, red flags, and common mistakes are. It told me to create a clearer before and after that I implicitly described what to look for, make it more explicit, that I do it implicit, meaning I implied it, but I wasn't very explicit in it. It literally gave me item upon item of what I needed to fix on this thing. And as we go through this, these are things that you should be aware of when you write a piece of content. So let me just say that. Hold on. We got another question come in. I noticed you're using Claude, Perplexity, but not ChatGPT and OpenAI. Is this due to privacy concerns? No, that's a good question. It's the complexity of what I'm trying to access. ChatGPT will do this. In fact, ChatGPT helped me write the original article in the sense that I kind of said, hey, what should be included here? What should be included here? This is my thoughts here. This is the video. Can you pull out the elements for me? It helped me construct it, but I'm using Claude because I could upload the two documents side by side and what I pasted in, because I basically told it to take the original manuscript and apply Google's changes to it, because I started to look at what Google told me to change. This list is exhausting. Okay. I mean, if you really start to look at all the things they told me to change, it was exhausting. And I looked at this and I said, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And then I was like, well, that's a dumb question. I can just put it back in the AI engine and let the AI engine do it for me. So that is what I did with this. But I want you to understand how detailed of the directions that Google gave me to fix my piece of content of what they found was wrong with it. The other thing it wanted me to do is put a red flag line in on every line that it did. So if I come back and I look at the original manuscript that they spit out, this is the one they spit out now. Okay. You'll notice that it gave it to me this way. I don't like this at all. But if you come down here, they have a before and after. Before thing, the homepage company time. After keyword rich title like professional web design services. And then it gave me a red flag. If your web designer creates a title tag that's just your company name or generic service, they don't understand SEO. They literally took every piece of my video, put this in here, and then created a red flag up against it. What I don't like is all this gobbledygook up here. All right. And the reason I don't like it is because it bullet pointed it out. And if I kind of come back into Google's blueprint, I don't like what it did. But you see here, it said, what's the financial impacts of it? It actually gave me pieces of things that I didn't even have in my original. It expanded what I needed to say. Okay. It then comes through, it says address the repetition of it. Um, oh, bye, Pat. Have a good night. Um, if I kind of go through it, it tells me choose the clearest and most concise explanation of something. Um, Well, this is where I did. I took the page and I put it into this thing. That's how do I get Google to evaluate the page? That's what I'm telling you, John. I took the document, put it into this verdict software, and to my surprise, it spit out this master blueprint of what I needed to do. The thing is that this list is so exhaustive. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to rewrite the whole article. Okay, because it gave me all this information. So then it came down and it says address the repetition in the article. It said that go through the documents and lift the points that are mentioned more than once, consolidate and rephrase so that so I'm not being repetitious. So apparently it felt like the original page I wrote, which I don't seem to have an original copy of it. It's saying that the original page I wrote had way too much repetition in it. When you're writing something this long and this expansive, I can see all of that happening. Um, and then it kind of gave me some of the things that I needed. Instead of multiple explanations of title tags, provide one comprehensive explanation in the SEO section of what that is. And then in the checklist or SEO, put ensure title tags are keyword rich. So it's telling me how it thinks I should write this. Now, remind you, this is coming out of Google. So if Google's telling me how to write this, chances are this is probably how I should write this. It then went on to tell me that I should reduce the jargon in this and improve the accessibility, that I was too technical in some places and that I need to either explain what it is or link to an external resource that explains what it is, that I have to do something, because I didn't say what a 301 was. And because I'm not saying what a 301 is, how's the user supposed to understand what that 301 is? I think that's a fair point. I think you can take this and do anything and find these holes, because if it's saying that a 301 is not, that I didn't explain it, I'm assuming that you guys know what a 301 is, and this is for a guide for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. So it's a pretty wrong thing on my assumption of my thing. The next thing I said is enhance the video explanations. Okay. The next thing I have to do is embed the video into the page where it's relevant. Um, what else I'm going to do, I think, and I've already done some of these because it really takes you nothing to make a video. Any one of you should make a video, and I'm going to make the case that everybody should make a video here in a minute as to why you should do this. It's telling me to put the video in with each and every page of this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that. This page has so much information on it, I'm going to put in multiple videos. So I went through all of this. I told Claude to go ahead and implement every one of these changes for me and make sure it fixed the proofreading, fixed the spelling, that it did everything that I wanted it to do. And then I took it back and I put it in this Verdict software. And what Verdict software said, this is an excellent, capital excellent, and comprehensive guide to hiring a web design. You've covered essential aspects. It basically took all of that. This is the second run of this. The first run dumped all that crap out, and it didn't give me any type of guidance. This one gave me this, and then it said, consider making some slight changes to make sure that you understand who your target audience is and that it leans towards business. Call to action emphasis. While they're call to action on this page, they need to be a little bit stronger, especially after each before and after section, that you could ask a potential designer to show you similar improvements they've made on websites. So it's actually giving me tips on how to improve the conversions on these pages. Visual examples. While the before and after descriptions are good, adding a visual of that would be extremely impactful. So what they want me to do is take the website it was before and not the after. At the beginning, you said not to use AI to create content. So you're creating content without AI and then plugging it into Verdicts just for editing reasons. Yes. And to find out what Google thinks is missing to make this page be the best it can be. I haven't got to the end of this yet because I don't like what it did to it. So hang tight. So I went in, so it told me to do all of this. It told me to use some SEO audit tools. It told me to do said make sure that I have ADA compliance, blah, blah. It tells me under web design services, add a point about project management. I missed the project management skill. Mention UX designers if I want. Okay. Now I have to ask myself, do I want this particular article to talk about UX designers? I'm not sure. I think that may be a bridge too far on this. It says instead of confirming that the workers work in the United States and not offshore, change it to something a little bit more neutral and inclusive. Now, what I'm going to say is that if I had to make some viewpoints, my point is that offshore developers and offshore designers, a lot of the times they're not disclosed. That people say, hey, I build websites, and then they have a guy in India that builds the website. There's some security concerns with that because you're not contracted with the guy in India, you're contracted with the guy in the United States. And if the guy in India puts any security problems into your website, there's a whole separate set of problems. So I'm not sure that I'm willing to back off and be a little more inclusive in that. I really want to be specific that you need to know where these people are located and who's doing the work on your website. I think for a small business owner, getting somebody out of India off Fiverr is a disaster. Okay. I think it's an absolute disaster to do that. I understand that people are doing it every single day. But I feel like if you're sitting in this class and you're trying to find out what you're supposed to do, having an offshore web designer is probably not the right move for anybody here. The other reason it's not a right move is because a lot of times the offshore folks are garbage in, garbage out. They only do what you tell them to do. If you can't tell them to do it, then they don't do it. So you end up with a lot of problems. Like I had one person say to me just this last week, I never finished my website because the guy I hired wanted me to give him all the content. I don't know your contract that you had with said guy, but I think that might be a reasonable expectation. So therefore, am I upset that somebody told you to do that? No, not at all. So, there's stuff like that that's running around in here that I have to say, so I'm not willing to change that much because and I actually may make a video that talks about this because I'm not opposed to offshore developers, but I am opposed to people that don't know what they're doing, hiring offshore developers. It's kind of like a problem waiting to happen. Okay, so they're telling me to be a little more inclusive. Okay, I'm going to probably not do that. Add a point about checking online reviews and testimonials on Yelp. And that's actually a good suggestion. If it's not there, I need to fix that. Um, it says SEO expert evaluation. It's saying add a bullet point on keyword research, add one on competitor. I don't know that I want to go down this road in this page. Okay, because I think in some cases it's a little bit more difficult for you guys to assess. So I don't know that it helps. It may help in a comprehensive sense, but I don't know that it helps you guys. Okay. It gives while an SEO auditing tool, it talks about those. It's giving me some things, it's wanting me, and I'm not doing this. It wants me to move past WordPress and talk about other platforms. I am not willing to say there's a better platform out there than WordPress like Joomla or Drupal because Google's not going to get up in the middle of the night and fix the hacked Joomla site because Joomla sites get hacked more than any other site out there. So although I appreciate Google saying that I should be including Joomla and Drupal in my discussion, I have no desire to do that. All right, so it's not happening. Okay, does posting a podcast on your website help? Yes, but that's a whole different class. Hold on. Okay. Um, so then we come down and they talk about digital asset management and they think I should mention Google Tag Manager. Maybe I do that. The next thing they want is what they're calling SLAs. I think that's probably a good idea, and maybe version control. That's a good idea as well. And then it gives me more red flags to watch for. And although some of these, promising guaranteed SEO rankings, I don't know that that's necessarily in a web design. So it's a little bit confused by my text that I put in of what it should be looking for to improve and its suggestions. So what I'm kind of demonstrating to you though as we're doing this is I'm kind of telling you where they're good on things and where they're bad on things. And it literally needs this level of scrutiny to be able to implement it, that you just can't blindly say, go add this, because I'm going to show you what happens when you do. Okay. Using outdated design techniques. Okay, that's a good one. I don't like it calling that. It should be calling it keyword stuffing, and it should be calling it cloaking. It says lack of a clear progress communication. I guess I can do that. I kind of look at this and I'm not sure how much of this I want to include. Business goals. Okay. Um, I meet customers every day, and sometimes and I guess I should at some point probably look into doing this, but I'm not retired, so I don't have the time. Not only do I have to help somebody with their web design, but a lot of time I'm having to help them with their business and their business goals and business development. I don't know whether that should be in this type of a page. It bothers me to do that because a lot of times I'm not financially, I don't end up, I just do it free of charge. So there's not so I'm basically opening myself up to the expectation that we would be helping define business goals. And I don't know that I want to do that. Now, it's saying also talk about lead generation and increasing sales. The other problem is that, and I've had this happen, I can drop a whole bunch of qualified leads off on your doorstep. If you don't know what to do them, yeah, I know it really is hard not to include it in some way. Um, and yeah, this person says, no, I shouldn't. It should be as part of their business plan. You have no idea how many of these folks walk in and they have no idea that literally they started with a chainsaw and they're out chopping down trees and now they're a huge landscaping company. Or um, you know, they're a roofing company and they just were like, oh, well, somebody asked us to do siding, so we do siding. There's all kinds of people in this world. So they don't walk in, but then they're looking at me saying, hey, I need you to help me do this. I think I'm actually kind of having to help the Trips to Italy guy a little bit too on how to do some of this. But here's the thing. I can talk about lead generation, but increasing sales, I, I am a little bit stuck on that because I can bring a whole bunch of people to your door. If your product is not priced competitively, if you are not easy to deal with, and some people don't want to hear that, but they're not nice. They don't know how to interact with people properly. Well, when you have those people, I don't care how many leads I drop at your door. I don't know that I'm going to increase your sales. Um, some people, like, they're engineers and they're extremely cerebral, and as a result, they have a tough time. Yeah, that's good. SEO doesn't teach you how to smile. And that's kind of it, and how to sell your product. So I have to be careful on how I do that because I can get a whole bunch of people to somebody's door and yet their sales never go up because they don't know how to do that. And it's an interesting problem. Do I want to go into a business goal detailed discussion on a comprehensive primer on how to hire a web designer? I'm not sure that I do. So I have to look at this. Okay, so now it says the tone is excellent. It's informative and authoritative, and maintain that throughout. It says considering adding a key case study with text to illustrate the point. No one has ever saw a company lose 70% of its organic traffic. um, what does this say? We saw a company. Oh, I guess I could put stuff like that in, but I think that ends up being so I don't know if I want to put examples in or put statements in or things like that in there. The next thing it says, is this guide for you? And it thinks that I need to tell it the guide is for small to medium-sized business owners, marketing managers are looking to do. Okay, I probably can live with that, but maybe I shouldn't need to tell somebody who it's for. If I have to tell you who it's for, maybe you're not in the right spot. So these become these questions that I have. And then it says keyword research. I should tell them how to do it. Understanding keyword implementation. Ask a designer if they understand it. Relevance, keyword. They understand that keyword integration should be natural and not forced. Okay. It says the guide is exceptionally well written and thorough. By incorporating these suggestions, you can even make it um, more helpful and actionable. The key to improvement in providing more concrete examples, adding emphasis. So it's telling me, great job, you too can do better. So I said, okay, let me go ahead, and although I don't necessarily agree with this, let me go ahead and put this in here. See if this is the right one. Yeah, I think this is the right one I did. So it chucked me out. Yeah, okay. Some people come to me at SCORE and ask how to improve their website, and they have not done the basics such as asking who is their customer. You're knowing what one quickly does when they come to the home page. This would be a tool to focus on. I agree with that a little bit. So this goes down a different rabbit hole. So this is where you've got to kind of be. So I took the output. So this is my first article. And then I took the the thing, I'll give that to you in just a second. I took it and I put it in this, and this is what it checked out. Okay. So it says, is this guide for you? Why choosing the right person? Watch this video, and then it linked to the video on YouTube. I don't want it to do that. Comprehensive checklist for hiring a designer, long checklist. Let me come down. It took off some of my points. It then says, what's the difference between a web designer and a web developer, and what do I need to do to understand the difference? If you notice, it took everything and made it into a bulleted list. If you look over here on what I did, because I actually had before, first you should understand, first you should understand if the differences between a web designer and a web developer. I actually, it, I'm stopping mid-sentence, but if you look, it took it from 5,100 words down to 3,386. I'm not sure I'm happy with that either, okay? Because it took it and turned everything into unexplained bullet points. All right. So, what's the difference between a web designer and a webmaster? Well, professionals, they look on the field, they're one person, they provide web design as supplemental income, and they are specialists in visual aspects. And then it says a web design company, and then it says, what is it? A web development company. I actually wrote these out in prose. What I may do is take some of their bullet points and put them in here so that they're scannable, but I think it needed my personalized touch to say these are the look and feel people. Often their primary concern is the aspect of the site. Their primary focus is fonts and colors, because it's explaining this. I think cuts a little bit too much to they're visual specialists in visual design. No, they're not specialists. They just know about fonts and colors. Let's not call people specialists when they aren't. The reason I say it can and can't be, John, back to your question of, giving it to somebody, you can see the wrong in this. Okay, so you're gonna have to weed the wrong out, and if you do it in real time with them sitting there, you're gonna have separate sets of discussions that are gonna go on with it. You may want to have those discussions, so it may be okay to do that. But you're going to have to decide which works and which doesn't per se. Okay. So, I kind of think that that's something you need to look at. And I would never want to just hand something to somebody out of this Vertex software system. It would worry me a little bit. Okay. So if I come back over here, you notice they took my prose and they bullet pointed it. They took the technical SEO, they bullet pointed all of this. And I literally now I'm going to have to come back and decide, do I want to leave a bulleted list, or do I want to leave it with the way it is? Because I think by leaving it at 5,100 words and letting it go the way it is, with incorporating some of their fixes and smoothing some of it out, what I'm actually going to do is do this in reverse. I'm going to take its AI page that it wrote me off of what I told it to do with it, and I'm actually going to rewrite it to match it back to what I had. So what I'm going to say, do I need a web designer, a web developer? This, I'm going to take this that it gave me, and then I'm going to take what I originally wrote into it. So if I flip it back around, and I haven't gotten that far with it, what I decided to do is I actually am going to take it and put it on the website now. I'm going to use my blended version on the website, and then I'm going to tell Google to go out and utilize just that web page. Look at that web page, the page that has the videos built into it, because I have at least 2 videos that are going on there. And as I write this, I think I'm gonna end up doing is having probably at least 2 to 3 more of companion videos for this page. What I'm hoping to do is write a guide so expansive and so comprehensive that A, people link to it, that B, Google ranks it high. I'm going to go out and where I'm gonna nest it is gonna be under the web design tab. So when you come back to my page here, when you come back to vertical web, which I really need a backlink on this one orphan page here somehow. If I come back here, it's going to live under the web design tab and see where it says now. It says web development, art portfolio. It's also going to have one that's going to roll out that's going to say how to hire a web designer. So it's going to be all underneath there. So these things are all going to feeder band together. The reason I'm saying this is a secret, because if Google is willing to give me the output of what I need, if I understand how to take that output and make it better, I'm going to end up with a really awesome piece of content, which if I then go through and put the technical elements back into it, what's going to end up happening, I hope, and we can follow this through. I've been working on this page for now about I've been working on it for about 2 weeks now since I decided I was going to do this. This has been a pretty arduous thing to kind of keep writing and rewriting this one page. But what I'm really hoping to do is to have Google tell me what it thinks it's missing. Now, I want to come back to one thing I said on this. When I looked over here, see, it's starting to talk about website security measures and backups and malware scanning, and that has nothing to do with what I want to include on this page, because it has nothing to do with it. If I put website security down, I think it's going to start to dilute my point, which is, how do I hire a web design company? I mean, this stuff is okay, but I can make an argument that some of it has to do with hosting, which we handle, but I don't want to dilute it. I don't want to get up with I don't want to give up and give it and make it be something it's not. So in this case, AI is coming up with nothing new. You know, John, on some level, it is bringing it back to something not something new. It's stripping out some of my personality and my expertise and my knowledge. And I write very colloquially. I think that's important. I don't want my brashness to be removed out of this, because anybody that knows me knows I'm just going to tell you how it is. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, okay, that's on you. I'm not meaning to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just telling you what you need to know so you don't make a very costly and expensive mistake. You don't have to listen to me. The lady that went to another web hosting company or to another web design company, she sat in a class for 2 hours and she opted not to listen to me. That's okay. All right. I have another one that it's funny, I ran into her and I had talked to her back before COVID. I want to say 9/11, but it wasn't that long ago. Before COVID. And when I talked to her at COVID, um, she was talking about taking her site out and moving it over here, and she was going to go put it in Magento. And I told her not to do that, and I told her to use WordPress. And what she ended up doing yesterday, what she told me, and I didn't really have the heart to give her an opinion on this, and I have to decide what I want to do if the time ever comes. But she went and took it out of Magento and put it in Shopify and then said, well, I don't know if I'm going to get any traffic to it. And those that know me know that I'm a big platform person in the sense that I say the only way to go forward is for the most part, for most of you guys, the only way to go forward is through something like WordPress. Now, if you're Costco, you can't use WordPress. I am not saying like if you're super, super big that we can't do something else. But I guarantee you that Costco's not in this room And I'll also guarantee you Walmart's not in this room, and I guarantee you Exxon's not in this room. So when I start to look at this and I decide what I want to do with stuff and what I want to put stuff in, there's really no other answer for small business than WordPress. If you want to talk about something larger, we can talk about something larger, but the reality is it's millions of dollars and it's money you guys don't have for my guess for the most part. So it would be a little bit malpractice for me to tell you something like that when it's not something that you really need to have and to do. So understanding this is a really big thing. So let me see. We've covered tonight. We've talked about the technical aspects. We're going to have a whole class on technical SEO next time. Those technical SEO points are where websites are made and broken. Okay. Content continues to be the epicenter of Google. All right. So if you walk away from nothing else here, I guess let me tell you too. Another way to use AI, we kind of talked about this last time, but let me just kind of go back over here a second. You see how much I do with AI. I actually do a lot with it because I have it give me an answer. And then I take that answer and make it my own. Um, because it does the research for me. It gives me ideas, it gives me stuff, and then I can go ahead and it's funny when I look at this page here and I say, tell me about Deer Ridge Estates. Other than Wikipedia, I run or have been involved with at least two, if not three of these websites. So it's really kind of funny that the sources and the source material it's giving me is websites that we told them how to write these pages. But if I'm going to do, let me see if I can find it here. Let's see if that will do it. Okay. So I wasn't sure what I should do on a commercial real estate or agent services. So what I did was I asked it for a list of services that I should be providing if I was a commercial real estate and what it should be expecting. So that's one thing that you can do to do this. Another thing that you can do is I have an outdoor patio furniture company that we work with. Okay, you see how long this is? What I did is I said, give me some blog topics for outdoor patio furniture. So it's giving me the content ideas that I can then take through this Vertex process. All right. What I won't do is I am not going to ask Google for the ideas. And I want you to understand this is a very nuanced difference, but I am not going to ask Google for the ideas for my website because in doing so, it's going to give me correlated data that it already has. So I'm not introducing something new. So even this, I'm having to take these and spin them out to give me the right information. But understand they're looking for certain things. If I understand what they're looking for and I feed it back to them, just like I know they're looking for internal links, I know they're looking for title tags, I know they're looking for external links, I know they're looking for validation for each and every one of you over social media. If you don't have social media set up, you need to set it up. If you don't know how to set it up, we're running a class in Kingwood next month on how to set up your social media profiles. Apparently, I had some lady come up to me today that said, I don't know how to set up profiles. And when are you running a class on that? So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to actually run a class on how to set up social media profiles for people so that they understand how to do it. So we'll have that coming up. But where I'm going is that Google's looking for all these validation pieces. This is the documentation. The more it, yeah, that we're covering that too. We're going to cover that in this class. So what it says is they need to know about business profiles for LinkedIn. So we're covering all of that stem to stern in this class because I think that you guys need to know how to do this. And I think it's important for you to know how to do this because what's happening is since the beginning of this year, they're now looking for social proof. They're looking for engagement. They're looking to say, how big of a footprint do you have? And if you don't have a large footprint, they're kind of throwing you to the sidelines and saying you're not really worth it. Okay. And although I appreciate Google, I don't appreciate them. Small business needs them way more than big business, but big business pays them far more than small business. So their algorithms are geared more for big business than they are small business. So that's what you kind of have to know about, because if you need to know how they're thinking and how you can backfit yourself into this. Social proof is part of it. So they're looking for you to have a footprint on something. This whole little thing that I'm doing with this internet clinic, with these talks, with these classes, I validate myself as an expert on every one of these things that I put up. As I do that, I continue to see my rankings go up. What I am going to say is I have to go in and recalibrate my pages. That's part of why I have this big list on my desk, because what I'm going to have to do is I am going to have to sit down and recalibrate my pages, because they're sitting on the second page and I need them pushing back to the first page. Okay. But with all of these things that I'm doing, thank you very much. I appreciate that. With all of these things that I'm doing it to help drive all my customers' businesses forward, to drive my business forward. I'm here to help you guys at least have somewhat half an idea of how to drive your own businesses forward. I think these are all very, very, very important things that you guys need to know to be able to make these things work. So I'm trying to think what else I have forgotten, because sometimes um, I'm trying to think. So we talked about links. We talked about rank math that they said, or not rank math, that page rank that they say doesn't exist, that does. Um, they were talking about the content on a website. They say keywords don't matter, but they do. There's a whole, all the technical aspects of things. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna say this, it might be unpopular in some circles, but I'm not super hell bent on how fast the web page is anymore. What I am hell bent on is the categories need to be right, and if they're not, you're gonna continue to slide downward. That category and structure is probably one of the most important things that has to go on in a website in this day and age. So understand that that's something that has to be done, and it has to be done right. And if it's not done right, you have a problem. You don't have to request a replay. It's going to go on my website. It should be there as soon as I get it from Score. Um, Sometimes that takes a day or two to have that happen. So when I get that from Score, we'll get it and we'll get the replay put back up on the website. The other thing is, remember to subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the newsletter for the website, so that you find out where we are and what we're talking about. We have a lot of folks that come here today. The class up in Kingwood, I had a whole bunch of people that drove from West Houston to come out drove all the way out to Kingwood to come and participate in today's class out on the north side of town. So we've got lots of opportunities for entrepreneurs to learn how to do this. I see some people say SEO is dead. And I think if you want to use it in its truest form, I don't think it's dead. I think it's evolving. And I think that because we did SEO right, and if you have done what I told you in this class from the minute I've started teaching it, if you did what I told you to do, you too will be in the source material for AI, because we lay stuff out in a way, and we were laying it out for Google, but these AI bots have come in, pick it up, and help rank and provide links. Like this whole thing with Evident Pro has been a very interesting um, situation. It says, what is geo? I don't know what you mean. You want to clarify that one? You probably have. Do you have the ability to unmute yourself and tell me what you're talking about? I don't know if you can or you can't. Anyway, no, I have no idea what geo is. I have no idea what that is. It's not ringing a bell. So, uh, oh, SEO, not GEO. I'm saying SEO. Oh, what is SEO? That's search engine optimization. That's what we've been talking about. That's what I've been talking about forever. So are you sure you mean that's what you meant? Um, AEO or AIO, you're going to see it referred to. One is for ask engine optimization, and one is for, artificial intelligence optimization. We have been, I'm really kind of happy with ourselves that we've done such a great job on the content that we are. Oh, someone came to me with a GEO thing. I don't know what they're GEOing. I don't know what that GEO stands for. I don't know how to answer that because I don't know what that is. Um, I mean, I've seen it being called AEO and AIO. Um, so I will say that, to ignore AI at this point and ignore it at your own peril. What I see us excelling at is the way we have structured everything. We're actually ruling on the AI end of it. So I'm very happy with that. Some of my more technical customers, they are the source material for the AI. Just no different than, like, this one on a bookkeeper is a bit of a fluke. The other one that they found him on was another really specific legal forensic auditing thing that they needed because they do some really specific things at that bookkeeping firm, or at their accounting, whatever, their I guess bookkeeping's the best word for them, tax planning. So they came in with something a little bit more obscure that the legal side of that office had to handle. It was because it was a little more obscure that he's coming up on some of these things. But that's a good thing because that's one of the things where they live and breathe. If I just take him and say he's a regular bookkeeper, he's not. He does a lot of forensic auditing. They do a lot of recreating of books. They do a lot of getting stuff prepared to sell a company. There's a lot of interesting nichey kind of things that they do. And because they're nichey, people are out there asking the question and they're showing up in the AIO. So there's a lot of stuff there that we need to know about, that frankly you already know if you've been following me for any period of time, because I basically have been saying this. I just don't know that I knew what was going to happen was it was going to end up being the gap and the bridge into the next generation of all of this. So we're already on the right path. You're about 5 years ahead of everybody if you've been listening to me all the way. Oh, generative option. Maybe, that's true. I guess it could be a generative engine option optimization. Uh, I don't, I don't, I don't, I, these generative options, you see them that they kind of generate, like I can say, it creates things that don't exist. That's what these generative things do. So I don't even know how you would, I don't know. I'll get back to you on a different date with that one. I'm still on the AI. Let's wait for that for a while. Um, no, you're not. You're not. And I mean, usually I kind of have an answer. I understand why she's saying generative engine optimization. It would make sense, but I don't know how you would optimize something that doesn't exist yet. So because it's what it's doing is it's generating. I mean, it creates it out of thin air. It says do this and it makes it. So I don't I have to look into it. I think of it when I think of generative, I think of that more along the lines of images. So okay, is there any questions before we call it an evening? I know we're coming up on 7:55 now. So is there anything in specific that we have questions on? Because now would be the time to ask them. Everybody's quiet. I don't know, maybe you're not even there. Sabia, do you have anything any updates
Yes,
on the
I
latest
just
and greatest?
wanted to share a resource. We have the SBA lender matchmaking event that's coming up in May. Any small business owners who are seeking to have a loan for their businesses, this is a very good opportunity for y'all to come to this event because you will be getting an opportunity to meet different lenders. You will be getting a total of 15 minutes one-on-one with each lender. So I'm going to share the link in the chat for y'all to register. And do come with prepared with a business plan that you can show to the lenders for them to be able to give you the right amount of money that they can lend for your business and the best rates. And also, if you'd like to know more about any business opportunities coming up, small business opportunities, entrepreneurial activities that are coming up at HCC, you can click on this link to join our mailing list. That way, you will be a part of our list and you can get all our news that's coming up for all the events that will come up in summer or fall and winter. So that's it.
Okay. All right, so let's plan on technical SEO start to finish next time. We'll hit everything on it. I think that's probably a really good topic. I think it's probably one of the most important topics we can do because I think that's the piece. I think that's where most SEO lives and dies is in that. So let's kind of think about that for next time. And then I'll see you all at the end of May. Can you believe we're halfway through the year already? For goodness
It's
sake,
it's
it's
going
coming
so
fast,
fast.
isn't it? We're going to be pretty much to Christmas pretty soon. So in fact, for those of you with stores, Christmas starts in June. So if you haven't started planning yet, Christmas starts in June. So if you have a store, you should already be thinking about it. So I'll leave you with that scary thought. So you can sit and ruminate that for a month. Anyway, all right. With all of that said, have a great month and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. That's a wrap for this week's Internet Marketing Clinic. We'll see you next week. Thank you.